Hi, this is Kendall Boyson, professional life and recovery coach, and you're listening to Encouragementology, the practice of instilling hope. Hi there. Thanks for joining me. On this show, we're pushing pause to reset the story we tell ourselves before we set the goal. Because goal setting isn't just about what you want to accomplish. It's about the mindset you bring into it, the beliefs you're carrying, and the expectations you quietly place on yourself before you ever take the first step. Have you ever said yes to a goal, a project, or a commitment simply because you could? Not because you truly wanted to, not because it fit your life right now, but because you felt capable, responsible, or maybe even a little afraid of what it would say about you if you didn't. For a long time, I thought that was growth. If I could do it, I should do it. If I was asked, I should say yes. And while that mindset served me in some seasons, it eventually led to feeling stretched thin, overwhelmed, and disconnected from what I actually wanted. Last year, the realization turned into a mantra for me. Just because I can doesn't mean I should or have to. It wasn't about doing less. It was about choosing better, giving myself permission to pause, evaluate, and decide instead of reacting. More recently, my husband and I landed on another mantra that started as a joke, but turned out to be surprisingly powerful. I can do anything. Now, what do I want to do? And at first, it sounds almost playful, but the more we sat with it, the more we realized how much it shifts the conversation in our own heads. Instead of starting with doubt, it starts with belief. Instead of asking, am I capable enough? It asks, what actually matters to me right now? That small change removes the need to prove anything. It creates space to choose instead of justify, to explore instead of second guessing. When you begin with I can, doors don't close before you even reach them. Curiosity replaces fear. Possibility replaces pressure. And suddenly, goals stop feeling like tests you have to pass and start feeling like options you're allowed to consider. That shift from proving capability to honoring desire doesn't narrow your life, it expands it. Today, we're going to explore how resetting your internal story can completely change the way you approach goal setting. Because before you decide what you're chasing, it matters how you see yourself standing at the starting line. Before we talk about goals, I want to slow this down just a bit because most of us were taught to start goal setting from the outside in. What do I want to accomplish? What should I be working toward? What's next? But we rarely stop to look at what's driving those goals in the first place. For many of us, goals are not neutral. They're loaded. They're often tied to proving something, proving we're capable, proving we're disciplined, proving we're not falling behind, and sometimes proving we're worthy of being seen, trusted, or taken seriously. That's where the phrase, just because I can, sneaks in. If I'm able to do it, maybe I should. If I don't say yes, maybe I'm missing an opportunity. If I don't push myself, maybe I'm wasting potential. But potential and pressure are not the same thing. A goal rooted in pressure feels urgent and heavy. It comes with a quiet fear of disappointing someone, even if that someone is just an older version of yourself. A goal rooted in desire feels different. It feels intentional. It feels chosen. It has space around it. This is why mantras matter more than we think. They shape how we interpret opportunities, before we even act on them. I want to bring a few other perspectives into this because resetting before goal setting isn't just a mindset shift, it's a belief shift. And belief quietly drives far more of our decisions than we realize. One place this shows up clearly is in Carol Dweck's work on mindset. She talks about the difference between believing abilities are fixed versus believing they can grow. But what often gets overlooked is how deeply self-belief influences whether we even try. If you don't believe you belong in the room, you won't set goals that put you there. You'll talk yourself out of opportunities before you even begin. Not because you aren't capable, but because doubt convinces you it's safer not to even try. That's where something I call the confidence of a chocolate chip comes in, because it completely changed how I saw myself and how I approach goals. At some point, I realized I'm not everybody's cup of tea, or in this case, cookie. Some people may prefer oatmeal raisin, and that doesn't make a chocolate chip cookie any less confident in what it is. The shift for me was this. I stopped needing to prove that I belonged. I already believed I was widely accepted. I believed people would embrace what I was offering in a positive way. And because of that belief, doubt doesn't get much of a voice in my head. I'm a chocolate chip. Most people don't start there. Instead, doubt speaks first. It questions worth, ability, and acceptance before a goal ever has a chance to form. And when doubt is in charge, goals shrink or disappear altogether. That's why the mantra, "I can do anything," is so powerful. It doesn't mean you think you'll succeed at everything. It means you don't let self-doubt decide what you're allowed to want. James Clear talks about this in Atomic Habits when he says that every action is a vote for the type of person you believe yourself to be. When you believe you're capable and allowed to take up space, your goals reflect that belief. When you don't, goals become defensive instead of expressive. Believing you can doesn't eliminate risk, but it does remove unnecessary self-rejection. And that belief is often the difference between setting a goal and quietly talking yourself out of one. Just because I can doesn't mean I should or have to creates a pause. It interrupts the knee-jerk yes. It gives you permission to ask, does this fit my life now? Do I want this, or do I just feel capable of handling it? On the other hand, I can do anything. Now, what do I want to do? Challenges a completely different pattern. The pattern of wanting something, but talking yourself out of it before you begin. The pattern of letting doubt decide for you. Both mantras do important work. One protects your time and energy. The other protects your confidence and curiosity. And here's the key idea I want to anchor here. Healthy goal setting doesn't start with action. It starts with awareness. Awareness of your season, of your motivation, of whether you're trying to choose something or prove something. When you reset the story you tell yourself, goals stop feeling like obligations and start feeling like options. And that changes everything. Let's pause here and make this personal. I want you to think about a goal you've considered, but haven't fully stepped into yet. Not because you don't want it, but because doubt has been loud. Now, listen to the first question your mind asks when you think about that goal. Is it something like, can I really do this? Or what if I'm not good enough? Or what will people think? That's doubt trying to drive. Now let's try something different. For just a moment, imagine starting from the belief, I can do anything. Not because you have all the answers, not because success is guaranteed, but because you trust your ability to learn, adapt, and figure things out. From that place, ask a different question. What do I want to do? Notice how that feels. Most people are surprised by the difference. Desire feels lighter than defense, and curiosity feels more open than fear. Now let's layer in the confidence of a chocolate chip. Imagine yourself as a chocolate chip cookie. You know who you are. You're not trying to convince someone who prefers oatmeal raisin to suddenly love chocolate chips. You're simply confident in your own flavor. Some people will love what you bring, some won't. And neither one defines your worth or your ability to pursue what matters to you. Ask yourself, if I trusted that I'm already accepted by the people meant for me, what goal would I stop talking myself out of? If I believed I didn't need to prove myself first, what would I give myself permission to try? This isn't about ego. It's about self-trust. It's about removing self-rejection from the equation. Sometimes the most powerful reset before setting a goal is choosing belief first and letting desire speak before doubt. Now let's talk about how to actually use this, because belief without action can stay theoretical and action without belief can feel exhausting. The goal here is to bring the two together. The first shift is to reset before you commit. Before you say yes to a goal, a project, or an opportunity, pause long enough to ask two questions. 1, do I want this? And 2, why do I want this? Not why does it make sense? Not why someone else thinks it's a good idea, but why it matters to you right now. That pause alone can save you from goals rooted in pressure instead of desire. The second shift is to lead with belief instead of doubt. When you notice yourself asking, can I really do this? Try replacing it with, I can do anything. What do I want to do? You're not promising yourself success. You're giving yourself permission to explore without disqualifying yourself first. This is where the confidence of a chocolate chip comes into play. You don't need universal approval to move forward. You just need enough self-trust to begin. The third shift is to start smaller than your ego wants to. We often avoid goals because we think they have to be all or nothing. If you want to be a chef, you think you need culinary school and a 5-star kitchen. But what if the goal is simply to cook more, take a class, or share meals with others? Wanting something doesn't require maximizing it. It requires honoring it. And the fourth shift is to define success in terms you control. Instead of asking, did this impress anyone? Ask, did I show up honestly? Instead of asking, did I finish perfectly? Ask, did I learn something? When you define success internally, goals stop feeling like tests and start feeling like expressions of who you are. These shifts don't make you less ambitious. They make your ambition cleaner, lighter, and more sustainable. When you reset the story you're telling yourself first, goal setting becomes an act of alignment instead of self-proving. The A side is the familiar story we all know, but the B side, that's where the deeper tracks live. At first glance, most people would assume the A side is the confident perspective, the loud one, the bold one, the watch me do this energy. Confidence, as we usually see it, is tied to certainty, visibility, and results. But that's not actually the most common experience. For most people, the A side is doubt. It's hesitation. It's questioning whether you belong, whether you're good enough, whether you should even try. That's the story that plays on repeat because it feels safer and familiar and protective. And that's why the B side matters. The B side is where quiet confidence lives. Not the kind that needs to announce itself, but the kind that trusts itself enough to begin. It's not flashy, it's steady. It doesn't demand proof before taking a step. The A side says, I'll believe in myself when I see the results. The B side says, I believe in myself enough to try, even without guarantees. That's where the confidence of a chocolate chip fits so beautifully. A chocolate chip cookie isn't trying to convince anyone of its worth. It simply knows what it is. And if someone prefers oatmeal raisin, that's not a threat. It's just a preference. Quiet confidence doesn't come from universal approval. It comes from self-acceptance. When you live from the B side, goals stop being tests and start being invitations. Invitations to explore, express, and grow without needing to prove your value along the way. And for many people, that B-side perspective is the one they've never been taught to listen to. But once they do, everything about goal setting starts to feel different. The B-side is where confidence lives without needing permission, applause, or proof. I want to share a story that might feel familiar. There was a woman who was known for saying yes, not because she couldn't say no, but because she wanted to be needed. She wanted to be helpful. And if she was honest, she wanted to be liked. Over time, people came to rely on her. They trusted her. They praised her. And somewhere along the way, she started to believe that saying yes was the reason she was accepted. That if she stopped showing up for everyone else, she might lose her place in their lives. So when opportunities came her way, she rarely asked herself if she wanted them. She asked herself if she could handle them. If others would be disappointed if she didn't. If saying no would change how she was seen. And because she was capable, the answer was almost always yes. One day she felt tired in a way that rest didn't fix. Not burned out, just disconnected. So she paused long enough to ask a different question. Not can I do this, but why do I feel like I have to? That's when the realization came. She had been choosing acceptance over alignment, pleasing others instead of listening to herself. And she hadn't done it on purpose. She wasn't wrong. She was just doing what had always worked. When the next opportunity came, she tried something new. She asked herself first. She didn't have a perfect answer. She didn't fully trust it yet, but she noticed that the quiet no felt honest. So she honored it. And instead of guilt, she felt relief. Instead of fear, she felt clarity. Not because she finally had it all figured out, but because she realized she had a choice. The lesson here isn't that saying yes is bad or that pleasing others makes you weak. It's that confidence grows when you give yourself grace for not knowing and permission to ask yourself first. Sometimes the most powerful shift isn't learning how to say no. It's realizing that you're allowed to choose and that asking yourself why is the most loving place to start. This is a good moment to slow down and turn the focus inward. You don't have to solve anything here. Just notice what comes up as you reflect. Feel free to grab a journal or just sit back and listen and wonder. One, where in my life do I tend to say yes before checking in with myself? What am I usually hoping that yes will give me? What am I afraid might happen if I say no? How does my body feel when I agree to something I don't really want? 2, what motivates the goals I'm currently considering? Am I driven more by desire or acceptance? Who am I trying to please or prove something to? What would change if I asked myself first? 3, what would it look like to give myself grace in this season? Where have I been hard on myself for not knowing? What choice feels most honest right now? How might trusting myself change how I move forward? You don't have to have the clear answers today. Awareness is the beginning. Grace is the practice, and both grow with time. Remember, I've created a 5-day journaling companion that goes with this conversation so that you can take these ideas and go one layer deeper at your own pace. It's designed to help you explore what's driving your yeses, where your goals are coming from, and what it looks like to ask yourself first with grace instead of waiting until you're overwhelmed. You don't have to do it perfectly. Even one day, one prompt, one honest answer can help you reset the story you're telling yourself. As we bring this conversation together, I want to leave you with a few ideas that are worth carrying forward. First, goal setting doesn't start with action. It starts with belief. The story you tell yourself before you ever set the goal will shape how you experience it. Second, just because you can do something doesn't mean you should or have to. Capability is not an obligation. Pausing to ask yourself what fits with your life now is a form of wisdom, not weakness. Third, believing you can doesn't require constant proof. The confidence of a chocolate chip reminds us that you don't need universal approval to move forward. You're allowed to want what you want, even if it's not everyone's preference. Fourth, quiet confidence often lives on the B side. It doesn't need permission, applause, or proof. It shows up when you trust yourself enough to begin, even without certainty. And finally, asking yourself first changes everything. When your goals come from alignment instead of acceptance, they feel lighter, clearer, and more sustainable. As you move forward, notice where you can pause, listen, and choose with intention. The goal isn't to do more, it's to choose better. If you want to share encouragementology with a friend who needs to know they're not alone in this journey of self-discovery, you can visit encouragementology.com or anywhere you stream your content to receive this episode and all others. Check out the show notes for the 5-day journaling companion and follow us on Facebook and Instagram for additional encouragement throughout the week. So I challenge you, pause before setting your next goal and ask yourself one honest question. Do I want this? And why? Choose a mantra that reflects who you are now, not who you're trying to be, and let belief lead instead of doubt or obligation. I know you can do it. Thank you for listening to Encouragementology with Kendall Boyson, where we find positive ways to handle some of life's challenges.
I stumbled through until the path was clear. That's when I found you and how I wound up here. All I needed was a rock that I could lean on. All you needed was some wind beneath your wings. We might be seeing things from different points of view, but that don't mean a thing. You and I, we were meant to be. I was made for you, you were made for me. So let it happen naturally. Things will work out fine, just you wait and see. Oh, you sat across my lap one summer night. There was only one star out, but it was shining bright. So I held you in my arms with all my might. It felt good to be in love again. I didn't want that night to end, but all I needed was a little motivation. All you needed was a light to guide the way. We might disagree until we drive each other crazy, but things should be okay. You and I, we were meant to be. I was made for you, you were made for me. So let it happen naturally. Things will work out fine, just you wait and see. I have never felt this way before. Every time you leave, you always leave me wanting more. It wasn't long before I knew that no one else would ever do. I only hope you feel it too. Realized I loved you on a Monday afternoon when you caught me staring at you from across the room. There was only one star out that night, but I made a wish for you.